Mosoma. Tangativo ombusa tanga neusama kosa. Alumuna sisi au yasama kosa. Amuna yeye, koma, sama kosa.
Hello, good afternoon. This is Tempo Afric TV's Beyond the Headline Show, and I'm your host, Petros Haile. Our guest for today is Mr. OBANG METHO. Mr. OBANG is Executive Director of Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia. He's here for a conference. Welcome, Mr. OBANG.
Thank you.
Okay. We will talk about the conference later on, but I am very much interested in asking you your activities for the last few years. First of all, I also wanted to say a few words in Amharic, Ethiopian language. This Ethiopian Council for Reconciliation and Retrospective Justice means Ethiopia Yerkna Retawi Fiteh Mikr Bet. That's what it means in Amharic. And another thing that you use as a theme is Lemetamamen and Nagagar. Humanity before ethnicity is also some of the theme you used prior. Welcome back again, Mr. OBANG.
Thank you.
Okay. What are the goals of SMNE, which is a Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia, which you belong to, and you're also the Executive Director, and the one that you plan to attend this coming Saturday, the Ethiopian Council for Reconciliation and you see, I can't even say it. Restorative Justice. If you can say a little word about that, then we can go on from there.
Okay, yeah. Thank you very much.
Okay.
It's good to see you again.
Yes.
So when was the last time we
about
seen each other? Maybe what?
6 years ago?
6 years ago,
yes.
Yeah, it's good to see you again, and it's good to be in Minneapolis, and also that I would like to this West African television station for inviting me to be on this show. Yeah, Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia is a social justice organization that which was really established in 2008, and so the organization actually is the movement, that evolved out of the idea that before we used to, I used to work with a little small organization called Anuak Justice Council, and that organization was to focus and seeking the justice for the people in the Gambela region of Ethiopia. And then from there, that we realized that actually when it's happening is what happened when there was a human rights abuse took place in Gambela, where almost more than 400 people were killed. And then seeking the justice for those groups, we established that organization called Anuak Justice Council. And the Anuak are a tiny ethnic group, live in Ethiopia as well as in South Sudan. They're called Anuak, A-N-A-U-K. So when we established that organization was to try to seek the justice. But through that, we come to learn that there were also injustice going on throughout Ethiopia, not only to the Gambela regions. And also that we realized that the Ethiopians are so divided by ethnicity more than anything else. So that when we thought of idea that, creating a greater organization, a movement that not only speak for the Gambela people alone or for the Anuak, but for the rest of the Ethiopia. And so that when the Solidarity Movement for New Ethiopia, SMNE, was established.
Okay, okay.
And the idea of it was actually, it's a principle-driven idea. The fact that we were working with Anuak, we were seeking the justice, we were looking for justice for those Anuak who were killed. We come to realize that justice will not come to the Anuak unless it comes to the all Ethiopian. And then we realized that the people in Gambela, the Anuak, they were targeted specifically because of their ethnicity, because of who they are.
Okay.
And so we come to realize that these people were targeted because they are Anuak. And what we would like to take from that is, you know, had they been looked at as the same people as an Ethiopian, as a human, would they be targeted? So those ideas become the theme, that humanity before ethnicity. And then justice will not come to the Anuak until it come to whole. Justice will not come to the rest of Ethiopian, which is no one will be free until we are all free. So that was how the solidarity was established about, you know. So it was the idea to try to say that you cannot seek justice. Freedom is a share. You share freedom. Freedom cannot hold it to it. So that was how the solidarity was established. Then the Council for Reconciliation and Restorative Justice, ECCRJ, which is recently happened, it was established, was also that evolved out of that idea again. What we come to realize that when we were working with SMNE, you know, Solidarity Movement, what we come to realize was that most of the Ethiopian as whole, as a people, are so much divided by ethnicity, by religions. Not only that, people don't even talk to each other. So we thought that, you know, the solution to the problem of Ethiopia, as we already talked about with the SMNE, it is through dialogue. For Ethiopian to talk to each other rather than talking about each other. And so that was, and also there's no trust. You know, to create a trust. You know, like, so the idea was that you have to talk to establish a trust. You have the trust to work, you know, you have to have the trust to work together. And then working together will lead to reconciliation. So that's why we thought that what Ethiopia need is, you know, to start talking to each other. Through talking to each other, they will trust each other. Through trusting each other, they will work together. Through working together, they will be able to come reconcile and create an Ethiopia which is good for everybody. So that was the two.
The tools, So there's a stage. First, you need to talk to each other. Even to resolve differences and all that stuff. What was the obstacle for not talking to each other, though?
The obstacle is the biggest obstacle is you fail to see the humanity of other people. Because what happened is, you know, you will never know how beautiful your neighbor is or who they are unless you talk to them. So there's a real obstacle of that. The second biggest obstacle is when you have this kind of thing where you talk about other when they are not there. That's what I mean. That let's talk, instead of talking about each other, let's talk to each other. By talking to each other, we could be able to defend ourselves. Like when I talk to you, if you are not there, if I talk to somebody about you when you are not there, I can't say anything because you are not there to defend yourself. So the advantage of it is that we can be able to know what other people are thinking of us. We could also be able to know that we can resolve the problem. So there's definite a need to talk to each other. And if we don't, we will have some anger or animosity toward each other. And that's what worry has, that when you live in a country, most of the people actually may not know. Ethiopia is one of those countries that where the constitution of the country is based on ethnicity. You go in most of the world constitution say that we the people. In Ethiopia say that we the tribe, nation, nationality. In a way that as if there is a nation within the nation. So in that case, when you live into that kind of thing, now people don't see each other as one people, as a nation, as a one country. And that there's really, there's a possibility where there's a conflict in Kosovo, in Rwanda, in most of these places, because when people fail to see the humanity of one another. So there's that tendency that where if Ethiopia go this way, it can lead to chaos. Before it go to that, let's talk about that. So even listening to one another itself is a good step.
On that note, though, but don't you think that there's a historical justification for coming up with that kind of system? They call it ethnic federalism, right?
Yes.
Was there a reason for them to emphasize on ethnicity?
Oh, absolutely. There is. Yeah, because what it is Ethiopia, we have this where there are people, people say it's a 3,000 years history.
Yes.
But the 3,000 years of really not good governing. They never have a government that elected by the people of Ethiopia.
Okay.
It never had a government that respected the right, the well-being of Ethiopian. It never had a government that which really bring the justice and equality for the people. So there's so much grievances in Ethiopia. There's so much injustice, whether you call it during Menelik, during Haile Selassie, during the Red Terror of Dirk, during the current group. So what these people have done, because this is one thing that I look at it in Ethiopia, is usually people don't, this idea of nation nationality, it come out of injustice. But instead of them coming out with better things, actually they did it the wrong way. In other words, they used our ethnicity as a tool not to love each other or to embrace each other. So yes, there was some injustice in Ethiopia, but they could have done it that way. So what it is that, because it's funny that if you look at it, Ethiopia is one of those countries where every region is named after the ethnic group. And it happened because also that, in the early 70s, you have Oromo Liberation Front. Because everybody in Ethiopia, every region created a liberation. They want to liberate themselves from Ethiopia. So the country then left alone. If everybody want to liberate from the country, then no one will be left there. So you have the Oromo Liberation Front. You have the Eritrean Liberation Front. You have the Tigrayan Liberation Front. You have the Sidamo Liberation. You have the Ugaden Liberation Front. You have the Gambela Liberation Front. You have the Benishangul. So almost no one that really, the Holy Group did not have a liberation promise, the Amara, which is by that time people, called the government at that time, they think that it was Amara. But the truth of the matter is everybody in the country become. So these liberation, they want to, they believe that the injustice, and they want to liberate themselves. But what they fail to realize that unless you liberate the whole country, you cannot be free by yourself. So that's what I mean, that it becomes the opposite. They think that they can be free by themselves without free. And so that's why I said that you have to have a system where unless everybody in Ethiopia is free, not a single ethnic group will be free. So what Ethiopia needs is not ethnic liberation front. It is Ethiopia liberation front, to liberate everybody living within that country.
Well, that dream, I don't mean to dwell on it, but 1970s, there was a group called APRP, which is a multi-ethnic, pretty much they were opposed to ethnic, but they had to accommodate them. But at that time, the bitterness of all these nationalities or ethnicities was so strong, their idea failed because nationalism took over. This is my understanding. But now this is the right time. And people like you are raising the question at the right time,
I don't know if you will call it the right time, but yes, I think it's the time. But as you put it, during the EPRP, by the way, it was evolved out of great ideas. And by that time was not an ethnic dominated. These are the children of elite Ethiopian who went abroad, came back home, and they felt that Ethiopian deserve a better government. But again, their boy was overtaken by the other group, and then later on become to violence and come to the Red Terror. So those, even when you look at it now, some of the Ethiopians think that, the current ethnic federalism, these people brought it, or they blame the Tigray for it. Actually, no. The guy who is the father founding of that is a man by the name Wililin Mokonon. Wililin is from Wallo. He is an Amara. He's not a Tigrayan. He's not an Oromo. He's not a Ugadinian or Afar. So Wililin was the one who brought this idea. Those of Mallas and other group, they grabbed at it. And you mentioned a very good point. What happened is in every society there's a place where there's extremists. The problem is when the extremists take over and the silent majority that push aside, the country is in trouble. So the extremists who believe and saying that, yes, Ethiopia, there's a repressive regime, Ethiopia is not good, they took over the country. And this is one of the things that if you look at it, the TPLF, the Tigrayan Liberation Front, they went in the bush in the idea that they believe that the Tigray are oppressed and they want to liberate the Tigrayan people. But when they took over the power, instead of saying that, yes, we liberate our region, they take Ethiopia. That's what I usually say, that like giving you a little small bread and then you get a bigger bread. So what happened is the TPLF went and took Ethiopia. Even today, Ethiopia is still led by a ethnic liberation group, not a national liberation group. Because that's why in Ethiopia today, all the top key position in Ethiopia is by the TPLF, the Tigrayan. Where even if you look at it, actually one of the most, I would call it a very racist system. There's a group of Ethiopia they call Agar Beras, like people from Gambela, nation called Apar. So in other words, even one of them, they say that, they are not yet. Yalta Basalu, like with people, you can find someone from Gambela who's studying in the West. But according to those guys, these people are not yet ready. They are not grown up yet. So in other words, they are not capable to be involved in Ethiopian central committee.
Okay.
So you can tell that all this is extremist group coming in and taking over, and then the mainstream or the moderate group are pushed aside, and now that Ethiopians are paying the price for that.
And I think this is a good historical analysis, and there's a lot of facts to it. you
Yes.
know. Yeah. Okay. We know how we get to this stage. Now the struggle has a different sense. Like there's people who would say this government is not going to change, so we're going to have to raise arms and fight them over. And there are others who would say, no, the people are ready. All you have to do is create an awareness, so they will take over without armed struggle, which is a peaceful resistance. Do you have something to say about that?
Yeah, I will have something to say about that, because the thing is, the peaceful struggle that now, yes, there's two groups now.
Yeah,
those
okay.
who believe in armed struggle, those who believe in peaceful struggle.
First.
I am the guy on the side of the peaceful struggle.
I take it.
Yeah, I believe that armed struggle is not going to get us anywhere. Even if it does,
Yeah.
the guy who went to bush now, what are they saying? They say that we die for this.
Oh, okay.
We sacrifice for this. So, the people who really want to go to the bush believe on the same thing. So the idea here is, for example, the current group. Right now, armed struggle is their stronger link. The guns. They got hold the resource. They got the support from the West in the name of war on terror. So they are in a position where they will be able to use that. But again, if you look at it, the peaceful struggle, sometimes people say that, peaceful struggle is not easy. It's not that just, you have to demand it. In America, they boycott, the bus and, civil rights. It did not happen overnight.
Exactly.
So, peaceful struggle is, I think, is the best way to go. And some people say that, well, the ruling group will not understand all this. And look, the ruling group, actually, they're made up of people. They're made up of Ethiopian like everybody else. So this idea of trying to root out, they used to have this in Amharic, cynical, you root out everything. Rooting out from the very root part of it is not going to get us anywhere. So I think that there's another way of it. And that way is even those who are in power.
Yeah.
Because what I want for my children, for my grandchildren, is to live in a peace, in a more prosperous Ethiopia, and live in harmony with the rest of the people. I'm sure that anyone who are in power also that want that for their kid. So the idea is, how can you find a way to really say that this is not about us, about our descendants, about the future of Ethiopia, about the future of all of us. So that's why I say that when you look at it, by political ideology, we may not agree. By one country, we have no choice. We are one people, we are one nation, and then our destiny is, to live in harmony. And so definite, there are people who think that, frustration. There's so many people put in jail. I am some of those who witnessed, so many of my family members were killed. But for me, I think that killing is not going to get me anywhere. So we cannot kill our way out to Bedamingist, but we can find a way to talk our way out. So that's why I say that there are people who believe into that, but that's their right. But I think that there's something that which is not being done in Ethiopia. That means during the Haile Selassie time, there was an opportunity. There was a missed opportunity, because had there been a strong, unified institution, a strong institution that stand up for the Ethiopian people, Dergi would have never walked in. When the Dergi collapsed, had they had a strong institution, that the TPLF would never walk in. So now we have that missed opportunity, and I think that missed opportunity for Ethiopian to finding a key way, a solution through a dialogue, through talking to one another, through understanding, listening to others. But for now, definitely people are not in the same place.
In the same phase, yeah. I guess it also goes hand in hand.
Yes.
If you need to change the system and talk about reconciliation, my question is, who would you reconcile with? Does that include the government or the opposition or the people in general? That's one of the things. And on armed struggle too, Usually when they engage in armed struggle, foreign countries involved in it. So your independence is losing on the process. So if you want to comment about those two.
Yeah, but too, I can comment on the last one. The armed struggle, if you look at it, during the 80s, there were people who are willing to offer their guns.
Mm-hmm.
There were, country that who can use their country as a base. Like, for example, the South Sudan, when they're fighting, they use Ethiopia as a base. When the Ethiopian were fighting, they used Sudan as a base. All of these things. But this day now, you don't find them accommodating that. So this world we live in, the era, is not a era where you can be a rebel leaders and survive. So in that case, it's and then also that is easy now because of this called war on terror. So they can label that group as a terrorist. So, the time now is not that environment. But the idea of when you say that who to reconcile with, for now, the way I think of it is that the reconciliation, before even go to the government, we need the reconciliation among our people. Saying that, go back to that. You will find it Ethiopian ethnic group in the boxes. We are being divided by religion. We've been divided by ethnicity. We've been divided by regions. We've been divided in many classes. And so the government used divide and conquer. So, the same tactic that the feudal colonists used in Africa, that's what is being used in Ethiopia today. So today in Ethiopia, it's not what you learn in school that will give you the job. It is your ethnicity that will give you the job. There's certain region part of Ethiopia that if you are not from that region, you cannot live there. So in all of these, then we have that tendency where the Ethiopian don't even talk to each other. So the idea of the reconciliation between the peoples. So we have this in the culture. When two people fight, it is when there's a group fight within the cultures there's someone who will say that mediators.
Okay.
Right now we don't have that.
We don't have.
So the idea here, what we are thinking about, the reconciliation first with the peoples, not with the government.
With the government.
So once people are together, like for example, the religious group are divided, the ethnic group are divided, political group are divided, civic organization is divided. So what we need is first to work among our people and making people come there. We have something in common. We have a greater things that we have in common, and that meaning that we are one people regarding our ethnicity. That's where I was coming back to that.
Okay.
Humanity come before ethnicity. So once we do that, and if people are strong, though if for instance, the group in Ethiopia, people say that TPLF is the one that really, which is leading the country. TPLF, they make 6% of the population of the country, the Tigrayan Liberation Front.
Yeah.
But not many Tigray support that. So within that in mind, if the Ethiopian people are strong and standing together and have one strong organization like that of ANC in South Africa, definitely the ruling government will be forced to come and negotiate. But before that, I think the work has to be a reconciliation between the people, people to people, making people come to realize that we are into this together. The Oromo has to realize that they need Amara as Amara need them. The Gambela guy need to know that they need the Benishangul, then the Benishangul need them. They need to know that our survival as a people depend on each other. And so once that is done and they create that kind of cohesion working easily, the government will have no choice than to negotiate with them.
Good point. In fact, before this interview, we were discussing it in general sense. The Muslim community in Ethiopia, they showed an outstanding protest against the government, but no one was behind them. So it goes with what you're saying right now. So the government was comfortable dividing people. Whatever protest comes, as long as it comes in a partial way, he can diffuse it. But if it comes as a group, it has no choice but to surrender. So the Muslim, if you know the history of the Muslim
because
community.
one of the things is, one thing that really I'm very proud of it about Ethiopia is the religion tolerance. Even though I know that Ethiopia, even people say the Christian is one of those countries that invited the Muslim to come. Their king tell them that go to Ethiopia to get a refuge, and that stick in. Ethiopia is a country that where in some places, the mosque and church are divided by the fence. Ethiopia is a place there where you will find someone there by the name Petros who are a Muslim. Ethiopia, you can find a man by the name Mohammed or Hamid who go to church. So that was really part of that. And that's not saying that, yes, the Muslim as a group was really, that, they can speak about the injustice or, repression, but through those, the religion was never being used as a tool to destroy each other. But when this government come in, the TPLF, they use the religion as a dividing conquer. So they divided the Muslim between the Muslims themselves. The one who are speaking up, they want to create the radical Muslim in a way that you can get the money from the West.
Yep.
The Muslim has been used as a boogeyman, that, the Muslim are here, the radical extremist Muslim are coming, but it's never been, in Ethiopia. So for that, when they want to take over the religion institution, not only the Muslim, by the way, Orthodox are being divided. So at the beginning, when these people come, they embrace the Muslim embraced them. And so the Ethiopian Muslim and the TPLF, at one time they were working very closely, but later on, really the division went to them. So when the government really want to divide them, they resist. And it become the most sophisticated Ethiopian civil rights movement ever. They come in in a country where there's no internet, in a country where people are oppressed. They have done amazing things. There are sometimes where they will show up with the white papers, with nothing writing on them. Someday they will come up with all different kind of tactics. But the problem was the other Ethiopian did not join them because the government used the same tactic, mistrust. Where some of the Ethiopian whom I know, even the same, the Muslims are coming. I say, they've been here. So they just didn't come. So that was one of the things that, where when I was speaking, talking to the people, was the same to remind the Ethiopian that our Muslim brothers of Ethiopia, we don't only share land with them. We share blood. These are the same people that we come to this world through them. Our mother too could be a Muslim. It is not the land of Ethiopia that we share, it's the blood that we share within us. So we should not forget about that. That the beauty of Ethiopia that kept us as a one people, we should hold on that. And so divide and conquer used it. The government used it. And now the leader of Ethiopian Muslim community are put in jail. The same thing that they have done now is happening to the Oromo. The Oromo, major, majority ethnic group in Ethiopia. They've been repressed. There was this thing where one of the, I think, Mallas used to say that, the Oromo, when you crush the skin of Oromo, beneath that you will see the name OLF, which is the name of the Oromo Liberation Front, because they view the OLF as the enemy, as the boogeyman. So any Oromo will speak up. There were even some people who are saying that if you go to Ethiopian jail, the Ethiopian jail national language is Oromo because there's more Oromo. And then, a year ago there were a protest. The government wanted to take the land of the Oromo. The Oromo protested. Lots of people were killed. By that time, the Oromo by themselves. Now, starting on November 15, there was many Oromo who came out, students, opposing the Addis Ababa master plan. So far, as of now, almost more than 600 people were killed. So many people were put in jails. Some of the horrible pictures that you see from that country is shocking. So these are students, these are kids. But again, it was the most peaceful ever. These kids come out, with peaceful struggle, putting their wrists together. Some of these are stopping to eat, So it was the most peaceful. Again, the rest of the Ethiopian did not join with them. So that's what I mean, the seasonal struggle. Today, one ethnic group, tomorrow religious. These seasonal Ethiopian struggles has to change. Why is it not changing? Because we did not see something that we have in common. But what we have in common now, you have to go beyond that. What do Oromo or an Amara or a Tigray or the Ugaden or a Muslim or Orthodox or Evangelical, what do they have with me? There's something that what they have. It may not be my skin color. It may not be someone from Gambia. It may not be my ethnicity. But our humanity. We are all human within that country. We are one people within that country. God loves all of us equally. We are all being valued. We fail to see that. And unless we go back to that, where we see the humanity of our neighbors, these seasonal cycles will continue. The only way to break these cycles is to be genuine. That meaning starting by talking to each other rather than talking about each other, by willing to listen. Because there are some people now who say that, look, we've been oppressed, or, this has happened. We have the right to listen to what they're saying. We cannot say that nothing happened to you. And so if someone said that we are being oppressed, let's listen to them. Through listening to them, that we can be able to say, look, we cannot be able to do anything for what we have done in the past, but we can create an Ethiopia where we are all proud of. And that's really what we have to do, because yesterday was Muslim, before that the Ugaden people, now the Afar people, today is the Oromo, tomorrow will be, even going on to Amara now, and Walkait, and the northern Amara resisting. So everybody has been affected. But the Ethiopian failed to see that this is affecting all of us.
To see. But now it looks like people are aware of what's going on.
Yes.
At least in terms of, in general sense.
Yes.
And that coming to a land policy that the Ethiopian government is trying to implement, they call it land leasing.
Yes.
In fact, that single issue is the one that ignites the movement across Ethiopia. And that movement may seem a single agenda on the surface, but it also tackles other issues like corruption, dominance by the EPRDF government. Before I go to other question, I really wanted to know what's the land policy of Ethiopia that the Gambelas reacted to it, that the Oromos are reacting to it today.
The land policy of Ethiopia that, we're talking about today, the same problem that the people were talking about through the student movement. Through the student movement, they were fighting, and their slogan was, Mured Lerasu, land to the tenor. Yeah. And that was, before I was born. And so that problem was never been resolved. So the same things are happening today. So the people who opposed that, who were up there, the students, that led to the EPRP and those of Malla's generation, they opposed that. But when they come now, they did the same thing. So pretty much in Ethiopia, the government controlled the land, government owned the land. So that meaning that if you are from that, that's why you see now that the government in Ethiopia, if you look at it, is a TPLF, EPRDF. The TPLF is from the Tigray region. This is the place there where the land is not that fertile. But there's some place there where the land is not really that dead, like there, So place like Gambela, place like Homobile region, place like Beneshankol region. Even there's some. So the most fertile land, the people who are now running the country, they want to take it. For example, in Gambela, almost 78% of the land which has been leased are leased to the Tigrayan or the ethnic groups that rule the country or the government crony. And then you go to Homobile. Homobile, these are the tiny minority Ethiopian, the darker skinned Ethiopian that been ignored, they have a plate in their mouth. These people, they don't want anything from Ethiopia. Ethiopia never been there for them. Whether Menelik or Mengistu or Mallas, these are people that who didn't want anything to do with this. That's why they've been left alone. And that injustice show really the Ethiopian, it show the true real of Ethiopian as people who lead. Because these are people who send their children to go and study school abroad in Arbor and all of these. These are people that who are saying that they want a double-digit economy. These are people that who are making the best. But these people are being left there for income generating. These are an Ethiopian that who are good only for the Western to go and take a picture of them. The woman with saggy breasts, nothing on. So that become the image. But now that's not good enough for the TPLF. So they realize that there's much more than their tourism, and that meaning their land. So now they went back and taken the land, which is some of the things recently you see. One of the most horrible pictures, look at like reminiscent of slavery time. So now you see that the land policy in Ethiopia has never been resolved. When Mallas come to power, I remember talking to a gentleman who used to be, part of the when Mallas was making a negotiation. And then Mallas said that, no, we cannot make the land private. Because if we make it a private, the Amara elite, because Mallas has this fascination with Amara, they're so scared of Amara, the Amara elite will take the land away. So what they did was, we'll keep it. But now the Tigray elite are taking the land away, not Amara elite that were taking the land. It's the Tigray elite or someone who's part of that, they're taking
Maybe
the land.
that was the agenda to begin with.
Exactly. So you don't
No,
be able to
to
say,
say-
that, yeah, keep the Amara away.
Yeah.
So that's what it is now. So this land has become the easy way to get rich. And this was what really disturbed me, for instance. Where I come from, the most fertile land in Ethiopia. People call it the breadbasket of Ethiopia. When the Gambela people were killed, I remember that the U.S. ambassador to Ethiopia said that, oh, the consensus of Ethiopia. That meaning the consensus, mean the Ethiopian realized the Gambela region is a very wealthy region in terms of natural resource. So it become the, we go to there. So what I realized that the TPLF, the ruling government, APRDF, they don't want the people of the region, but they want the resource of the regions. And so this is what's happening, that someone who is of that ethnicity or belong to that party, they can go to Gambela, they can demark the land, bring the certificate, come to Ethiopia, go to Ethiopian Development Bank, the bank will give them the loan, tomorrow they are rich. While the same people from Gambela who are living, they don't have the same privilege, the same opportunity. That's why I call what we have in Ethiopia is an ethnic apartheid. The difference in South Africa was the guy who were leading, they look different, but here they look the same as people. So the land issues is something that Ethiopian has to deal with it. But it cannot be done through what I will call an revenge and hunger and emotional and killing. Will not do that. It has to be through the dialogue, through the talking that this land belongs to the whole. The people, I'm from Gambela. We have the most fertile land. I would like that land, the people of that region to benefit. Gambela is in Ethiopia. I want everybody in Ethiopia to benefit with it, not through robbery, but through a genuine way. That in this country, I live in Canada. Alberta is the richest. So the Canada benefit from the wealthy of the Alberta oil. So Gambela could be the bread basket of Ethiopia. We can use it to feed Ethiopia. We can also use it to, to make Ethiopia better. But it's not only for the people of Gambela, but has to be the interest of the Gambela being put in as well. But in this case, the people of Gambela, the government doesn't want. That's what I say usually during the dirt, during now. We, the Gambela guy, we are good to die for Ethiopia, but Ethiopia will not get anything back to us.
Yes. In fact, on that line, I was watching a documentary. Over 100,000 hectares and more given to the foreign investors at one time. And the guy who bought the land was interviewed by another person, a journalist, and he said, I did not even see the land. They just gave it to me.
That's it.
It's so ridiculous.
It's absolutely.
And the other person is Barakat Simon. On one of his interviews, he was saying, we have about 3 million hectares to be given to investors. And with that, I want you to comment on those unkept promises. We'll take your land, but we'll build your schools, clinics, and shelter. And the same journalist was asking some of the people who are being dislocated, and they say, we did not see that yet. Do you want to say something about that?
Yes.
Okay.
Not only that, the TPLF come to power, Malas come to power, promising Ethiopian to give them freedoms. We did not see that yet, 25 years. The TPLF, EPRDF, they come to power with emphasis that they will be better than Dirk. They will bring justice. There's more injustice today. They will bring equality. There's more inequality today in Ethiopia. They will bring prosperity, where Malas said that his dream was to Ethiopian to hit 3 meals a day. Today, Ethiopians are eating 1 meal in 3 days almost. Malas come in and saying that, we will be able to, be an example. That, what happened in Ethiopia will never happen. Today, we have 20 million Ethiopians that waiting for food aid. So the promise which was given to Gambela, we will build you well, we will give you an education, we will give you health care, that was done in 2010, 2011 when they were giving land. But the promise which was given to the whole Ethiopian people in 1991, almost none of them has been accomplished. And so this is something that I wouldn't be surprised with it, because what it is to realize that the TPLF or APRDF and those who are in power, they did not go for the well-being of the Ethiopian people. They did not put the Ethiopian people first. They put their own interests first. And so now what happened is, that what I mean, Malas went to the bush and the TPLF people thinking that they will bring something better to their own people. They may have given it to some few, but not many. But in reality, so the injustice they were fighting for, they have become actually the perpetrator of today. That's what I mean, that it's a cycle, the Ethiopia cycle continues. So they all promised that. And this is one thing that I was saying in some of the Western when I went to India. In the Tigray regions, the government take the electricity to the people where there's no electricity. They take the water to where there's no waters. They build the clinic where the people are. So they never took the people to some place to say that you will be able to give giving the service. But in the Gambela region, it's different. Do you see what I mean? So the service go where the people are in their own regions, but people are being taken somewhere in the name of the regions. And so when you look at it, it's really not for the interest of the people. I say all the time, people should not be surprised. These guys, they went to the bush not to liberate Ethiopia, to liberate serve their own interests, to liberate their regions. And so sometimes we should not be surprised of it. So now the people of Gambela, in the name of Bielajajism, when the EPRD, when the TPLF was in the bush during the Derg in 1984, in 83, they opposed the Bielajajism. Because most of the Tigray was taken from there, being brought to Gambela when I was a young man. I remember that so many young Tigrayans died because it was very hot. There's malaria where they come from. Is not. I saw mother bearing their children every day. I was a young man at that time in elementary school. So what happened back then? Malays opposed. They opposed that we don't want our group. Their group was sticking because for some reason the Derg doesn't want them to be border with Eritrea because at night they can come and recruit their people. But when they did that, when the Derg did that, they opposed it. The same thing that they opposed, now they are doing it in the name of Bielajajism in Gambela. But the case in Gambela was that they take away the local indigenous people from the most fertile land, putting them in a dry land so that land can be given to the investor or that land can be given to the TPLF supporters. You see what I mean? So when you look into this idea of we will give you the service or we will promise you, that promise is not only the promise for the Gambela alone, the promise which was given to the Ethiopian as whole is never been. And that's what I mean, that the group who went to liberate themselves, they have succeeded to liberating themselves, but they have failed to offer the Ethiopian people anything. So literally that's what I mean, that right now, what they are giving, if there's something that really the TPLF give to Ethiopia, it make the Ethiopian. It divided the Ethiopian by ethnicity more than ever before. I remember when I was young, when the islanders, an Ethiopian who are lighter skin, look like when they come to Gambela as our teachers. Can you believe some of them that we didn't even know they have ethnicity? So, some of them really, we did not know. But now in Ethiopia, it get to the point where people are suspicious. I remember, last week there was a guy that I want to meet. And the guy said, who are this guy you're meeting with? I said, his name is Asigit Haftaworld. A Tigray. But the guy is not a Tigray. So we get to the point that where even the name of the individuals make us suspicious. So if there's something that, and I always say this and I want to bring it. In America, there's two parties, Democrat and Republican. The Republican, whenever they come, usually, they come to change the system in a way. And then when Democrats come in, they come to change the policy. The TPLF came to change not the policy, to change the system. And the more that of dividing an Ethiopian in just a way that Ethiopians are now suspicious of each other. And if it's not handled properly, it can explode. So they did not. They the Ethiopian people, promised Ethiopian people, we will bring peace, we will bring justice, we will bring equality, we will bring unity, we will bring prosperity. If there was a prosperity, you wouldn't be seeing so many Ethiopians dying in Red Sea, trying to escape into the Middle East. You wouldn't see so many young Ethiopian women being human trafficking. You wouldn't be seeing an Ethiopian, their organ is harvest in the Arab Sinai desert. You wouldn't be seeing Ethiopian dying through Mexico to come to America. You wouldn't be seeing Ethiopian in Japan. All this idea that Ethiopia, there's a double-digit economy. Ethiopia is prosperous. I always put it this way. When I was a kid, where I grew up, we seen animals go where the water is, where the food is. They don't go where there's no food, where there's no water. So if things are good in Ethiopia, Ethiopians should be going to Ethiopia, not going away from Ethiopia. So this promise which was giving was not really a promise for the people.
Yeah, they should be staying in,
in their own country rather than.
It used to be Ethiopia as a breadbasket for Africa at one time. So it's not a fair land leasing. It's actually it's a land grabbing.
Yes. So that's what I call not only land grabbing, is life grabbing.
Life grabbing. Okay.
I did not grown up from the income that the money that being brought from the office. My family never went to schools. You know, we never used the money from the office or salary or this thing. It was the land. It's the land that we get the money to buy, exercise book and pen. It was the land that feed us. Land to us is an identity, it's a source of income, a cultures, who we are, dignity, beauty. That's what the land is. But when you take that away from us, you take away our dignity, our culture, our resources, our humanity. So that's what I call it. It's not only a land grab. It is a life grab. You grab the life of those people.
In fact, pretty much on that line, the way they did it in Gambela, the Ogaden, Oromo land, and including the Amara land. This country.
Walkaitagere. Because when there's, this is the thing that it was funny that even sometimes I say that it was is when you look at it, these people when they come to power, usually, if someone is bad guy in the neighbors. It is their next door guy that who will know their badness or make the noise. So when these people come and start the injustice, they started with the Amara. The most fertile land in them was not Gambela. It was Walkaitagere, their next door neighbors.
Next door neighbors.
Yeah. Okay. And so they put their Huntegreg there. Yeah. They deprived these people of Walkaitagere. The Amara that land was. So when the Amara land left, then Oromo land. Yeah. So when we were the last guy. The same thing. So when they come and kill the Gambela, the first killing they did was to their own people, the Tigray. The Tigray who opposed the TPLF, they killed their own, Tigray first. So they did not start with the Gambela or the Afar or the Benishangul or the Ogaden. They started with their own people. So, and what I mean was, it was not a system, a group of really trying to go and trying to find and bring the justice. It was a bull heart of hatred. That's why I said that Malas have this much hatred toward the Amara. And there's the Amara, if you go at it, there's some of the Amara was the poorest of the poor. Even today, the Amara are very discriminated because of say that your grandfather has done this, you have done this in a way that, So that discrimination that coming to the Omo Bale guy now, coming to Gambela, it did not start with us first. It started with the Tigray, it started with the Amara, then coming out and then the circle and expand. So it is with their own people. This land grab that we're talking about, it did not start from Gambela. It started with their own people. But the problem, again, is the cycle of how we respond to it. Yep. When it happened to the Amara, Amara don't. The other people, when it happened to this, it doesn't happen. So that's the same thing. Yeah. When the Ogaden people were killed, nobody's there. When the Amara, nobody. Because these people, in 1991, 1992, there's a place called Arbagugu Badeno. There's many Amara who were killed there. Out of the hatred, even some young people. No one really did talk about it. After that, there was people from the Sidamo region who were killed there. Nobody talked about it. After that, it go on to the point that in Gambela, the Majangir, the Benishangul, and then what they call the silent genocide in the Ogaden regions. And now it's coming to others. So this is been going on. But the problem is people fail to deal with it, to confront it as a one people. Yeah.
I think that's a good point. In fairness to the Tigrayans or TPLF too, historically the land allocation to Ethiopia tends to favor a particular group, not ethnicity, the whole entire ethnicity, but that's how the history was. The more power you have, you take over land, you tax people, and you rule that area. And the Oromos, if you ask them, that they were first injustice were made by the Amharas, Naftanya, that's what they call it. History also should be considered when you're defining and analyzing the current reality.
Oh yeah, no, the current group, they are born out of injustice. That's why I say that, had there not been injustice, you would never have the Tigrayan Liberation Front. You would never have Eritrean Liberation Front. You would never have Gambela Liberation Front. You would have never have Afar Liberation Front. The Benishankol Bene, the Sidamo. All of these people had come out of that injustice. And that injustice, people put it into that. Sometimes I'm not afraid to I tell the people. Because when you look at it, the people say that, yes, the government in power was an Amara. But not the whole Amara people had benefited. But also, if you look at it, it went from the extreme. People say that, they call it, the Neftanya, or the feudal, the Menelik was that, or this. Even was done that, it was never been done like this ethnic apartheid. What it is that the injustice which was done, the TPLF used it to the maximum. Where today, if you are someone, I gave an example of a young guy we worked with, he went to Ethiopia, and he had projectors, flat skin TV, lots of things. So when you get to the Boli airport, they say that, you have to pay like almost 84,000 bill for the duty free, to go for a duty. And so the guy, they were talking to the guy, and then the guy say, no, okay, I can pay 40,000. If that's the case, I cannot pay 4,000. So the lady say, okay, I will call the supervisor. The supervisor came in. When the supervisor came in, the supervisor was talking to the other person. Oh, what is his ethnicity? Where does he come from? Oh, come from Australia. What is ethnicity? And so it turned out that the supervisor was talking to this person in Tigrinya, not in Amarinya. But this guy knows the Tigrinya. So this guy respond, why do my ethnicity matter? And the lady respond, oh, you are one of us? How come you didn't tell us that you are one of us?
Yeah.
We wanted the bush to die for you. Yeah. So for that reason, that guy did not even pay a penny. Yeah. So my point is that there were some injustice during the previous feudal system, whether Haile Selassie, Derg was being considered as a Mara, but the Derg, during the Derg, people were never been divided into this, or people were not put into that. But now this group has used it to the maximum, which is not only will hurt the other people, it will also that hurt them in the long run as well.
Yeah, Derg time, he was killing everybody.
Yes.
He may not identify them by their ethnicity or religion, but then
your ethnicity also, during the Derg, being a Mara will not give you a job alone. You know what I mean? Yeah. The connection. Like even in this country, who you know is better than what you know. But in the Derg was that kind, during the Derg, that kind of system that if you are someone who's bright, intelligent in this, you can do that. But today is not. By being of that ethnicity, you can do that. And the same thing now that you go to the Oromia region. You go to the Oromia region, if you are not from there, you will not get the same privilege as it is. There is a young guy whom I know now live in Auckland. His sister was married to an Oromo gentleman. They live in Nekam. This guy went to there. So he went to school. He was an electrician. He got, he applied to get the job. And so he went there to get the job. And when he was getting the job, the Oromo guy who was there, Kabale, who was the head of the district, told him, oh, do you speak about Oromo? He said, no, I don't speak about Oromo. Why? Oh, I'm not from here. So what are you doing here? Oh, I'm working here for the city. Doing what? I'm an electrician that put the electricity. The Kabale, the guy, the mayor of the city say, no, you have to go back. The guy say, I'm sorry, I'm willing to learn upon Oromo. If that's the case, the guy say, no. The job you took, that salary was supposed to help the Oromo family, not you. So this young man has to go back to the Brazil where he come from. So that's what I mean, that this idea, not only the TPLF, in some part of Ethiopia there's a place that if you are of that ethnicity or if you are not of that. I can give an example of Arar. There was a job open for lawyers. They're looking only for 40 lawyers. But in there, almost more than 60, non-Arare Amara apply for it. And they still say that we could not find anybody. See, that's what I mean, that in here you go to the hospital, is what your qualification is. So that's what I mean, that you go to Arar, if you are not there, then. So this kind of system is depriving the country, it is dividing the people, it is very dangerous for the future.
Yeah, it will explode, just like you said earlier. Yes. Yeah, unless somebody make a stop of it.
Absolutely.
The Oromo incident that had just happened about 6 months ago, the master plan that Addis Ababa is planning to expand the city. I'm just asking a general question. What's wrong with expanding Addis Ababa? why is that the Oromos are impacted by it? Why they are resenting the fact that the master plan is expanding?
Yeah, I think that the problem is not. I don't think even Oromo. I don't think that Oromo are really opposing the expanding of the Addis. I think the way it has been done. You know, this when you talk about expanding the land, there are people who live into that. Are these Oromo going to be consulted? From what I know, they are not being consulted. Are these Oromo going to be compensated? They are not. You know, is there any transparency and accountability? No, because what I mean is those Oromo who live outskirts of Addis, like the way that my family are, the land is their survival. And when you take that land away from them, more of them will be more likely to come to Addis and become the beggar of tomorrow. And Oromo who used to depend on this land will be now depending on begging. So I think that it is legitimate. The expanding, every city will grow. But has it been grow? You know, it's been done with consulting the Oromo. So I think that Oromo, I wouldn't say that they are really opposing the expansion of the city. But everything was done in a way that Oromo are consulted, Oromo are compensated. You know, I think that would be good. I think this is the same thing what I mean, that it is a daylight robbery. The one with the power, with gun, with money, with law, they can be able to rob. Yeah. The one who don't have a law and gun and money, those people then get deprived from their land.
Yeah. Not to mention over 400 Oromos have been killed in this incident.
Yes.
That's the sad part. And maybe to go to the Ethiopian government, Desalegn, Hailemariam Desalegn, is that his name?
Yes.
He openly admits the fallout that his government made, not only with this incident, but other issues, like his party failed, corruption is rampant, and all that stuff. I cannot find the exact quote from the clip, but if you know.
Oh yeah, I think that the gentleman, when he came to power, I sent him a letter. You know, we sent a letter specifically telling him, you have got a golden opportunity. Now you can actually change the direction of Ethiopia for the best. But what I realized that the man was not a man of free man. He was not a man of confidence. He was not a man of believing that he's here to do something bigger than himself. So when I also realized that, you know, he may be selected, handpicked by Mallas because he's not confident. He's a man of his own, not a man of his own confidence. So I think that's what it is. So now is there so many things. Even he apologized for, you know, which is good. So that also that I look at it. If he apologized for the death of the Oromo, so tomorrow he will be accountable. Because you cannot say, I'm sorry if you didn't do something. And he's, you know, he said that there's ethnic division. He even say that, you know, when we go to the, you know, we are not respected. So some of these things, is he saying it on himself? Or does his masterminding guy, advisor giving him? I don't know. But again, he did not say it with just honest. You know, like he go like, one thing about him is Mallas used to go and bang the chair in the parliament, like he's, you know, the man of the everybody. But this man, he even said recently that what Ethiopia needs, we need reconciliation. You know, if that is the case and he's talking about that, why not stop, order to stop killing the Oromo people? Yesterday I saw a picture of some young man in Bayardar who was tortured in just a way that he's a lighter skin. The bruise make him dark as me. You know? And so injustice is going on. And if Hailemariam is genuine, there's many things he can do. The most brilliant boys of Ethiopian are in jail. From Gambela, from the Apar, from the Ugaden, from the Benishangol, from the Amara, even some of the Tigray. Why not release those people? Journalists who are being locked in jail, why not release them? If we're really genuine and for the good of Ethiopia, what he's saying is not only in a parliament. Make it practical. Go and talk to the people and release the Ethiopian people.
Is there a list of demands that you can submit for him at this time? Not as the OBANG only, but as an opposition?
Yeah, there's many things that, you know, I'm not in a position. I mean,
okay. Okay, I'm sorry.
So yeah, I'm not, you know, I'm not a political leader. So,
okay,
you know.
okay.
So yes, as someone who's an activist and who care about the country, you know, if there's a demand that I would really want is for them to have a reform. I don't know if they will listen. And one of them is this Ethiopian, that the boys of reason, the boys of wisdom, Ethiopian that who was put in jail. let them release. There's many of them. Bakale Garba, Andwale Marage, Iskender Negas, you name it, from every place, including the, all through. Those Ethiopians should be released from jail. That's a number one demand that I think. Number two, to try to be really open up a window, political space. And Ethiopia today is one of those countries that where journalists are being called a terrorist. A terrorist is someone who will harm other people. A terrorist doesn't terrorize people by pen. So, these two laws, the anti-terror law should be repealed. Like they should really, abolish that.
Revoke them.
Revoke that. Yeah. And then charity proclamation, which is almost make so many Ethiopian organizations, then almost that, those revoke those two laws, pretty much that they have to be opening this genuine. And the dialogue they are talking about reconciliation, they should allow a political space for the people. That's what I mean, that releasing those people, having a political space. But this is not wholly for the opposition. It's only for their survivors. Because this is the thing that they don't learn from it. The leaders had Saddam Hussein realize that and negotiate with the people, he would have never died with that humiliation death. Gaddafi, has he realized that and did it way that he would have never died just a shameful death. So the TPLF people have to learn from this, especially being an ethnic minority that controlling the people by gun. They cannot last forever. The day will come where the Ethiopian people will be. And being that the hatred, not many Ethiopians are speaking the language of love, and like me, not many people are embracing. I have so many of my own people who are massacred and killed. For me, I think that killing other Ethiopians will not be a solution. Let my own people be the last. That's what I'm hoping for. I don't want the kind of pain I feel to be felt by other people. So when I speak about this, that even to the Tigrayan themselves, that who are the silent minority Tigray, the other people who are working for this, they have to come to realize that life is too short. We are into this. Because if we don't do this, and Ethiopians end up killing each other, easily the media will be able to talk about, look at it, say that the Rwandese killed themselves. If the Ethiopian, they will never say that, Amara killed the Tigray killed the Oromo killed this, or Gambela killed. No. The Western will be saying from their distance. And especially the area with the era that we live in now, a era where as a human rights activist, the world look grim to me. Look what happened in Syria. In Syria, where 4 million people almost become a refugee. People are shutting the door on them. We live in a world that when we see the blood, we want to turn our eye. When we hear the scream, we want to close our ear. When we, see something, we shut our eye. So these kind of things, that if a violence like that happened in Ethiopia, Ethiopians are on their own. And that's why I say that the people who are ruling have to come to realize that they are not doing us a favor. They are doing their own family, their own ethnic group, their descendants, their future generation.
Depends on it.
Because if they don't do that, because nothing lasts forever. Life doesn't last. There will be a time in ending for everything. The Bible says that there's ending to everything. So I think that the demand that from the Ethiopian opposition politician, they may have a bigger demand. But for me, as someone who is an activist, please open up, release these people, open up a political space, let Ethiopian be free to express themselves. Because what happened is Ethiopian got denied, the regime denied us internet. The world is moving away, we are back. We talk about the double-digit economy, we cannot feed ourselves. So anyone who doesn't allow their own people to get the access to the internet, they are depriving their people. The world is moving and we've been left behind. So I think the demand for the ruling group and those who support them, that ignoring is not the way out. They have to deal with it. And also that to the Western, especially the U.S. The U.S. is the financier of this. This idea of saying that there's no viable alternative. Or viable alternative cannot fall from the sky. This idea that the Western, Susan Rice, and they say that EPRDF is the good, or a democratic. Democratic 100%. The group who claim they win by 100%, you can call that a democratic. Yes. So the Western donor country have to come to this reality as well. They fear that if Ethiopians are united and standing together, will be a threat to the world. That's bogus. I think that a strong, united Ethiopia, more prosperous, Ethiopia will be better for everybody, including the Egyptian. So the Egyptian cannot be able to say that we will fund some group so that Ethiopia can be destabilized and Nile will go from there. As much as they need to feed themselves, we need to feed ourselves as well. The water comes from us. Let's share it good, but don't deprive us. So this is the kind of thing that, including to our neighbors, the Eritreans. The Eritreans, just because there's a border between us doesn't make it that, they are not our people. The Eritrean, behind those borders, these are people we share blood with them. We live together. We intermarry. Their grandfather, if you look back at, there's the blood of so many of us who are on the other side. There's blood of, we share blood with them. So this idea of thinking that unity, a much more strong, united Ethiopia is a threat to anybody, is, I think, just useless. I think that the opposite. A much more strong Ethiopia where people are valued by their humanity, where Ethiopians are viewed as equally as one group, where every Ethiopian have opportunity to lead that country, to build that country, will be good for everybody, including the Egyptian. But this idea of one ethnic group, these people who believe that they can only liberate their own ethnic group, and thinking that or dividing Ethiopia as a solution, no, it's not going to get us anywhere. So I think that for the opposition as well as for the ruling government, I think it's about time to reflect and thinking that we have a future together, because I think the future of Ethiopia is either for us to doom together or to thrive together. That's the only way. That the idea of few people are thriving, the majority are struggling to survive, will not get us anywhere.
Thank you, Mr. OBANG.
You're very welcome.
Just like you said, humanity before ethnicity.
No one is free until all are free.
All are free.
And the solution to that is through by talking to each other rather than about each other.
And justice for all.
Justice for all. Thank you.
I really appreciate the time you took and give us this opportunity. And I'm sure this is not the only one. We're going to do a follow-up. When you come to the town, please do visit us.
Thank you. And then so the West African brothers, keep up the good work. We are not far away from you guys. So at the end of the day, African, we are all one, man.
Very true.
I think that all of us will not be freeing the rest of African until everybody's free. And Ethiopia too, the capital city of Africa. If we thrive, there's no reason why other people will not thrive.
Very true.
Thank you.
Thanks again.
Okay.
On that note, we end today's program of Beyond the Headlines. Until we see you next week with a different guest, have a nice one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mosoma. Alumuna sisi au yasa makosa. Amuna yeye,